Hey everyone, this is Miss Valdez, and today we're going to be reviewing synthetic division. Now, this is a shorter process than long division, but its aim is the same thing. Now, the only downside is that it only works when our divisor is in the form x minus a. So if you look over here at my examples, x minus a will totally work. X plus 2, yeah, that works too. Even x plus 1/2. When we run into problems is with things like 2x minus 1, because here our coefficient of x is not 1. So that's the key thing that you're looking for. Is my coefficient 1? All right, let's get started and look at some examples. Probably already noticed in your notes packet you thought you got the long division notes twice on accident. Not an accident. This time we're going to take those same problems and apply synthetic division. And we're going to show you how it can be used as a shortcut. So before starting, I look at my problem and I ask myself, do I have a coefficient of 1 in my divisor? The answer here is yes, I have a coefficient of 1. And the degree is also 1, so it's exactly in the form x minus a that I need it to be. Now to set up your synthetic division is just 3 quick steps. Number 1 is make sure that your dividend is ready. That means that my terms are in descending degree order. Remember, degree is that coefficient, that exponent right there. And that there's no missing terms. So I have 2, exponent of 1, exponent of 0 means just the numbers. So I'm in order, I'm not missing anything, so I'm ready to go. So step 2 is to make a half box to start setting up our synthetic division. Looks like that. Now what I put in my box is going to be this second term of my divisor, except the opposite sign. So I'm going to be writing in my 2. Now, if I had to rewrite my dividend, I would be going back and referring to those coefficients. In this case, I didn't have to. So we're just going to copy down the coefficients as they are right next to the half box. So I wrote in that invisible coefficient of 1. I'm going to copy down my 9 and my minus 22. Don't forget those negative signs. Okay, last step before we get going is to leave myself a little bit of space and write myself a line down there. Okay, now that we're all set up, let's actually get started. First thing we're going to do is take that first number and drop it straight down. Now remember, in long division, one of our first steps was to multiply, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to take the number in our half box, multiply it by that number that we just dropped down, and what we get, 2 times 1 is 2, is going to go in this position right here. Now this is where it's different from long division. In long division, we would subtract at this point. But in synthetic division, we're going to add, always add. So 9 plus 2 is 11. Now we go back and do the same thing again. We have a new number drop down, so we're going to go to our half box and do 2 times 11 is 22. We're going to write it in this spot right here. Again, we add minus 22 plus 22 is 0. And believe it or not, we're almost done. We just have to write it in a way that we can recognize. This last number here is going to be a remainder. So this tells us, in this case, our remainder is 0. These are going to tell you the coefficients of your new polynomial. Our degree is going to be 1 less. So if our degree over here was 2, we're going to start with a degree of 1. My coefficient is 1, so I'm just going to write a. And then our number is just 11. That's our final answer. A plus 11, remainder 0. Go back to your long division notes. That's exactly what we got when we did it the long way. But you'll also notice the steps are a lot quicker. Let's do another one for practice. All right, is my dividend ready? The terms are in descending order. Yes, 3, 2, 1, and my numbers. And there are no missing terms, as we just saw. So I'm going to make my half box, and I'm going to take the opposite of this second number in the divisor, That's minus 7. I'm going to write down my coefficients of my polynomial. 2, 17, 15, minus 42. And I'll write myself my line. And I'm going to go to a different color. Remember, we drop down this number. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. 17 plus minus 14, that's just subtraction, right? So 17 minus 14 is 3. Negative 7 times 3 is minus 21. Same thing, 15 plus a minus 21 gives us minus 6. You see how it's still addition, but because the sign here is negative, that's why we're getting these numbers. Just a little notice. Negative 7 times negative 6, we have 42. Negative 42 plus 42, we have another nice one with no remainder. Sweet. To write this in a friendly form, I go over and I see what degree I need to start on, and that's y squared. So I have 2y squared plus 3y minus 6. Again, if you check back with your notes, that should match up with what we had before. All right. Now, just like yesterday's, this is the example where we're missing some terms. So what we're going to do is first rewrite our dividend. So this is going to look like a squared. We're missing our a's, so we're going to use a placeholder of 0a minus 25. Okay, then let's set it up, make our half box. The opposite of the second term is negative 5. I'm going to write down my coefficients, 1, 0, minus 25, and my line. I'm going to drop down my 1. Multiply negative 5 times 1 is minus 5. You'll notice it's kind of creating a little check mark, backwards check mark in a way. You always come back to the box, multiply by this number here, and then it goes into the next diagonal spot. If you remember to draw this arrow, it'll make it even easier to remember where everything goes, because you'll just come back up into the next available spot. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. Negative 5 times negative 5, 25. Again, we are getting super nice numbers, no remainder. My degree was 2, my highest degree, so now it's going to be just 1. So I have 1a minus 5. Final answer. Okay. And we'll look over here at this example. Am I in the correct form for my dividend? Yes, I'm descending order on my degrees. I am not missing any terms in here. So I will get going on my box. I take the opposite of my second term. Write down my coefficients of my dividend. It's a coefficient of 1, 6, and 2. Draw my line to get going. First number drops down. Negative 5 times 1, negative 5. 6 plus a negative 5 gives me a 1. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. Oh, here, we're finally going to have a remainder other than 0. So negative 5 and 2 leaves me with negative 3. So this is where our remainder is going to come from. Let's first write our polynomial answer. So if our degree was 2, this one's going to be of degree 1, working with w, so I have 1w plus 1. Then we finally have our remainder, and that's going to work just like it did before with the long division. So negative 3 goes in my numerator, and in my denominator is what we were dividing by to begin with. W plus 5. There's your answer. Okay. We come down to 7. We look, do we have a coefficient of 1? In this case, we don't. Can't use synthetic division. Number 8, same thing. We don't have a coefficient of 1, so we can't use this. And you'll find that this is the same problem here. If you look back at your notes, you notice that we ended up with a first term that had a non-1 coefficient with that first term. Okay, so that's it for the examples today. If you have any questions, please bring those into class tomorrow. If not, have a great night, and I'll see you then. Good night.